Thanks, Wallace. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As I'm Scottish, I decided to wear a kilt today for no reason other than it's my national dress. In light of recent political events, I'd like to say that more than half of Scotland and I are proud to be Scottish as well as being very proud to be British. It is an absolute privilege. Thank you. It is an absolute privilege to kick off the second day of the 2014 Nuffield Conference, and I must start by saying how grateful I am to the Nuffield Farming Scholarship Trust and to the Worshipful Company of Butchers for sponsoring this opportunity. In particular, Bob Bansbach has been a great mentor and friend throughout this experience and has assisted me in achieving my goals. 2 years ago, when I sat down in an interview room in London in front of the Nuffield panel, I never imagined standing here today. Gaining a Nuffield scholarship has been a dream come true in allowing me to travel to countries around the world where I've been able to meet and talk to beef and lamb producers at the forefront of their industries and passionate about the future. I farm in partnership with my brother and my mother as a silent partner in Wigtonshire, in Dumfries and Galloway in southwest Scotland, where we produce beef, lamb and free-range eggs. We farm without the aid of single farm payment, and this was the main driver for me in applying for a Nuffield scholarship. I was becoming quite frustrated by the challenge of taking the business at home in a direction that would enable it to progress. On the beef and lamb side of things, it felt like we were standing still, and as I've been told, if you're standing still, you might as well be going backwards. I initially set out with the intention of ascertaining my own perspective of what the future holds for UK beef and lamb production. Hence, the title to my topic when I started out was UK beef and lamb, where is our future? However, it quickly became apparent to me that for systems like mine, the future lies in better management and utilisation of grass, and it was mainly this that I wanted to learn more about in order to directly apply the learning of my scholarship to the family business at home. Shortly after beginning my Nuffield travels, I arrived at the revamped title to my study topic of UK beef and lamb, making the grass greener on your side of the fence. I firmly believe that in areas with growing conditions like mine, it is a case of altering grassland management with fit-for-purpose animal genetics to literally and metaphorically make the grass greener, and in doing so, creating a profitable, resilient business structure capable of progressing through tomorrow. I began my Nuffield travels by firstly spending some time within the UK because I wanted to gain a better understanding of where we were as an industry before jetting off overseas. After a number of visits here, I managed to travel to Ireland, North America, New Zealand, Australia, Brazil, Uruguay and Paraguay. It has to be said that no two countries were the same, but essentially I kept coming back to the same key areas. I didn't find the one silver bullet that I naively set out to discover on my travels, but I feel that as an industry, if we were to engage collectively with the following key concepts, we would see a positive improvement within the UK beef and lamb sectors. My first key concept: in the UK, grazed grass is the most economic feed available to ruminant livestock and is massively underutilised. With improved grass management and subsequently improved animal performance, there lies an opportunity to rear and finish more animals at grass in the UK from the beef, sheep and dairy sectors. Grazing is available to most beef and lamb producers, but grass growth is rarely measured, and of course it is hard to quantify growth in the traditional set-stocked systems that prevail. Controlled or rotational grazing systems have a number of benefits. Preferential grass and clover species cannot be grazed out by the stock. It allows for optimising grass growth by providing a plant recovery period. It allows for grazing or conserving at a time when the plant is at its best quality, and the system allows for stock to be given what they require and not just what they want. In addition to this, different stock categories can be prioritised, and this can be applied to the order that the stock come through the grazing rotation. For example, finishing lambs would take priority over ewes just weaned. Knowing grass supply and availability by measuring it allows producers to manage and alter their demand to suit. The old adage applies that if you do not measure something, you can't manage it. And in this instance, if we see a trend towards measuring grass, I believe we will start to reach closer to the potential from this resource. This is a simple supply and demand graph for a standard spring calving and lambing system. The knowledge this gives us is identifying times when there is a surplus and can conserve, and times when there is a deficit and we need to buffer. My second key concept: there is an opportunity to improve beef cattle and sheep efficiencies. What I mean by efficiency here is the weaned weight divided by the maternal weight at mating. This gives a good measure of performance by calculating the live kilograms of output achieved from the maternal live weight that is maintained over the course of a calendar year. In breeding new flocks, the genetics are available to achieve 100% efficiency at a 100-day weaning from a grass-only system, but it requires good stock and grass management. In suckler cow herds, between 50 and 60% is achievable, and in fact I visited herds in New Zealand where 65% was being achieved without creep feed by some cattle. This figure is taken from the weaned calf weight at 200 days divided by the mated weight of the cow. Mature cow weight has to be lower for high efficiency to be achieved, as this lowers the amount of live weight maintained per kilogram of calf output. Lighter cows also enables the producer to graze more into the shoulders of this growing season, where in a high rainfall area like my own, this would not have been feasible. This reduces the length of the wintering period and the cost associated. And I understand that smaller cows might often mean lighter carcass weights and resultant progeny, but with the right maternal genetics calving at 2 years of age to the correct sire, this does not necessarily have to be the case. My third key concept, I believe that UK beef and sheep sectors are largely overcapitalised and fixed cost structures need to be reduced in breeding systems like my own. The fixed cost structures that are currently most common, I believe, have came about as a consequence of unchanged systems developed around headage subsidy payments from over 10 years ago. This relates more to suckler cow herds than breeding new flocks, but in both sectors, by bringing together my first two concepts, will lead to a natural reduction in fixed costs, enable producers to increase production and days at grass while lowering their costs and improving their profit. My fourth and final key concept, simplicity and attention to detail correlate positively with profitability. Simple breeding systems fit for purpose with high fertility, survival rates, growth and forage conversion efficiency will prevail. Calving at older than 2 years of age, I do not think maximises the potential return from suckler cows. I believe that the native breeds fit this role in the suckler beef systems, and personally do not see why complicating this with high input cattle for a slightly better carcass grade is necessary. With breeding sheep, we chose at home to breed our own replacements, as competing with farmers with subsidy at live auction was a cost we couldn't afford. Coupled with negating this issue, we now feel that the biosecurity we have gained and control over our breeding within a closed flock has improved as a consequence. The next step for us within our breeding new flock will be to link parents to progeny through the use of EID for genetic gain. Essentially, we are converting grass into meat and into money, and this must be the focus. I would like to conclude now by saying that I can see why the key concepts I have outlined and identified would not suit every suckler cow herd and breeding new flock in the UK. However, I believe that for areas such as mine with our consistent growing conditions, we desperately need to take more advantage of the attributes available to us. In doing so, I think it will create less exposure to volatile inputs, which will create a deeper resilience within our businesses and rural communities. Change and adaptation is required to take the UK to the next level in supplying the fantastic market we have on our doorstep with a produce provided by an industry we can all be proud of. An industry that will have the high quality and clear point of difference it requires over its rivals in the world marketplace. Finally, I must say, on the Nuffield journey that I have been on, after starting to measure grass growth back at home, I was astonished at the amount of grass we could grow. A few times on my travels, I found myself visiting with dairy farmers and time again came away feeling quite inspired by their business acumen, but also quite envious of their ability to measure production and performance every day in the milk tank. We have succession hurdles to overcome at home, and after carrying out a detailed business plan, we decided to change some of our land to grass-based dairy production. This somewhat contradicts my study, but ultimately we are striving to create as profitable and progressive a business model as possible from our available asset through spreading risk and increasing resilience in a volatile marketplace. I must now end by thanking the staff at home for their hard work in my absence. We had a meeting together at the start of my Nuffield Scholarship where I assured them their jobs would become better as a result. I'm confident that that is happening without single farm payment. I must also thank my now fiancée Samantha for her ongoing support. She does prefer to be known as Sam, but I didn't want to give you the wrong impression standing in front of you wearing a skirt. Thank you.